Ding, 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 ding. In this corner, we have rentals, right? It's tried, proven, and steady, and people have done it forever and made millions of dollars. But in this corner, we have lease options. People don't even know what it is. It's tall, dark, and mysterious, and it claims to be twice as profitable. Let's let them fight and see what happens. I retired at the age of 26 because I discovered rent-to-own and found out that it made twice as much money as just doing a standard rental. And in today's video, I'm gonna explain how a rent-to-own works and why it's so much more profitable. And by the way, if you wanna be financially free in just a handful of years, watch this video to the end because I'm explaining exactly how that happens. If you have 2 eyeballs and half a brain, you've probably seen rent-to-own signs and have probably thought, what is that? Like, how is that different than just a for rent sign? Like rent to own, like I can get this property and I can rent it until I own it? Like, is that what you mean?
What are you hiding, Dogman? Tell me! Tell me!
Well, actually, yes, that is actually what a rent-to-own is. Formally, they go by a different name. They are a lease with an option to purchase. A lease is the document that you sign when you're gonna rent a place, and then you have this option to purchase that says, oh, like, I'm gonna be a weird kind of renter. Like, I'm gonna rent this place, and then maybe someday I'm gonna buy this place, and so while I'm renting it, I'm actually working towards owning it. By the way, if you are a real estate investor and already own a number of doors, and you just have rentals, you really need to pay attention to this video because literally the knowledge I'm gonna share right here could double your profits. Real estate investors have many opportunities to invest in real estate to earn profit. Sometimes though, you want a guarantee that you'll be able to sell that home and have some type of exit strategy. And while there are very few guarantees in real estate, a rent-to-own contract may be just what you're looking for. A rent-to-own home is basically a home that renters will lease, and then they have an option to purchase it after a specific period of time. Usually they'll come back and exercise the option to buy the property 1, 2, 3 years later down the road, but in the meantime, they've been paying a premium on rent, they're doing all of the repairs on their house, they're basically taking care of the property, and eventually they're gonna go to buy the house and the market will determine what that house is worth. But here's the cool part. They weren't just throwing their rent money away, because every month they make that payment, an extra portion of that rent goes towards their down payment or lowering that future purchase price. That creates a really elegant option for someone that says, I'm tired of throwing my rent money away, I want to own a house, I'm scared that banks will say no, or like I'm in between jobs or I have reasons why I don't qualify, but if you, the investor, will help me and my family get in this home, beanie baby eyes, let's go. Now here's what makes this really special. It's like a rental agreement that references an option to purchase agreement, and they're like 2 different forms. And so the first one is like, well, you're gonna lease this property, you're gonna pay above average rents, you're gonna take care of the property, do not call me on repairs or fixing stuff, because remember, it's your future house, like it's yours, you take care of it, but you gotta make sure that you do smart stuff to it. Like if you're gonna do upgrades, you kinda need my approval a little bit just to make sure you don't do something really weird to the house. And then, when you're like, okay, I think we're ready to buy this, then we're gonna exercise this other contract. It is my lease option contract. And it basically says you have an option to buy this house at the price determined by the market at the time that you exercise this option. And then we'll subtract all of the equity that you've built in it from making all of your on-time payments. And then boom, it's like, wait a second, I had a house, I rented it out, I got a premium on rent, I didn't have to do any property management, which saves you 10% on the gross rent. I didn't have to fix stuff. If there's a doorknob that rattles, they're not calling you saying, hey, will you fix my doorknob? We're like, nope, remember, you're buying the house. And it's like, dude, this is like maintenance-free rentals. But then the really cool part is that they give you a down payment up front. It literally could be $3,000, $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, $20,000. It's non-refundable. Then you got the premium rents. And then someday when they go to buy it, you're gonna subtract some of that money off the purchase price. And now I don't have realtor fees or anything else. Shoot. This thing literally mathematically makes twice as much money as a standard rental. Now I know what you're thinking. It's like, okay, Kris, it cannot be all cupcakes and rainbows, rosy glasses. Like, there's gotta be like a flaw with this model, maybe? Well, let's actually take a look at the pros and cons. Here are the pros. The tenant is going to take care of the property. This is one of my favorite parts because when you own a property, properties have problems. Like, stuff needs fixing. There's a reason why the government says, hey, you can actually depreciate that property over 27 and a half years. Literally take the value of the property, divide it by 27.5 and write that off every year. Why? Well, because they know that property needs upkeep. They know that it falls apart. They know that you're gonna have to keep investing into it. But with a lease option, they're the one that's actually continuing to invest in the property. The second pro is that you do have higher rents. Investors can charge a premium rent because guess how many people are doing rent-to-owns? Like nobody. It makes you instantly like super popular. Then you have the possibility of appreciation, like maybe they're gonna live in the house for 2 or 3 years, but every year, guess what's happening? The value of the home is continuing to increase. Like nationwide, the average median home goes up 4.6%. But there are some risks that you need to take into account. There's the risk of default. Like maybe your renters are like, we thought we wanted to buy it, but something happened and now we actually don't want to buy it. Can we just give it back to you? There are some investors that hope that happens because they want to collect another large non-refundable down payment. It's not so much my style because I actually really like to provide the value and help them buy the house. But the reality is there's a risk of default and it's okay. Number two, there's market uncertainty. Property values may not appreciate as expected. It happens every once in a while that property values go down, so that is a risk. And you might also have refurbishing costs, as in the family moves out, you get the house back and you're like, oh, we need to do carpet and paint again. And that's gonna cost me some of that money that I collected in the down payment. I'm glad I was smart enough to keep some of that in reserves just to make sure that I had some money for these repairs. You did that right. And the final disadvantage is a big one. People can get the contracts wrong. There's a lot of bad lease option contracts out there. For example, most lease option contracts don't work in the state of Texas. Mine do, but that's because I've learned how to navigate them. Most people also actually take 2 contracts that I talked about and they merge them into one. That is a no bueno. That is a big mistake. There's a reason why you keep them separate. And lastly, in the contracts, if you don't use the proper language, someone could say that legally this contract binds them to equity in your home, and even if they've defaulted, they own part of that house. So while it's very, very lucrative, you do need to make sure you have the right contracts. Bottom line, here's actually my verdict. If you're going to be a backyard real estate investor, like I'm in my backyard, I've been watching Kris's videos, I got a copy of his book, I read it, and I'm a ninja out here crushing it and building my real estate portfolio, I would do lease options all the way. On the other hand, I've also graduated to only buying real estate in the top 5 markets of the entire country, and lease options do not scale with other property management companies, so I've turned to rentals. But because I'm also investing in the very best markets, on a 10-year longitudinal study, the last 10 years on 2,400 homes, we're averaging over a 60% annual ROI. So if you do rentals like super professionally, or if you're not a professional and you do a lease option in your backyard, you probably can get them to make very, very similar money. Lease options, you kind of got to do it alone, but that's okay. Some people are up for that challenge. And if you do nationwide rentals and you do that with me, well, it's totally passive. I'm going to do 100% of the work. So at the end of the day, I love both. I guess it depends. Do you want to be hands-on or hands-off? Well, it's the end of the video, and I'm going to give you 2 options on how I can help you take your next step moving forward. Here's the first option. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, you want to get this book. The Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth has helped over 60,000 people on their wealth journey figure it out. I have step by step everything that you need to do the lease option the right way instead of the wrong way. And it's backed by 20 years of proof. So if you click the link below, I'm going to give you this book for free. You just got to cover shipping and handling, and it's yours. The other option is that you might say, ooh, I'm not really a do-it-yourselfer. I'm more of a do-it-for-me-er. And guess what? You could click another link to learn about partnering with me, where I can say, hey, let me show you how I'm gonna go into the top 5 markets, and we're gonna tackle the best rentals out there, and we're gonna earn these insane high ROIs, and it's totally passive. So I guess at this point, it is a choose your own adventure. Do you want the book to learn how to do it yourself in your backyard, or do you wanna click the other link and learn about me just doing it for you? And like I said earlier in the video, taking action is better than indecision. So make a choice. Like, are you a do-it-yourselfer? Get the book. If you're a do-it-for-me-er, click the other link and let's learn about me doing it for you. All right, that was rentals versus lease options, but what about single family versus multifamily? Do you know how many people are like, Kris, you versus Grant Cardone, like, why aren't you doing multifamily? I'm like, dude, I've had him on my podcast. I'll tell you why I don't do multifamily. And if you want to know which one truly wins in a fight, like single family versus multifamily, do not miss this video right here. Is all going down.